What's up, gamers? Welcome back to some more regularly scheduled Legends of Runeterra content. I'm sorry that I was gone for so long. I have my excuses, my reasons, and everything, but what it really comes down to, just to make it extremely brief, I got sick, then I tried recording some more footage for this game, and all of my recordings just didn't go well. I wasn't playing very well, and then I started playing Tilted, and then I got tired of the game and kind of left content creating for it for a little while behind. But hopefully this is the start of something new, the start of me bringing back some more deck guide gameplay commentaries and talking about the decks that will be the strongest in this upcoming patch for patch 4.4.0. Now, this already did release yesterday. I'll be uploading this basically the same day that I record. And I'm sure that all of you have seen the reaction posts, the reaction videos on day one. And I know that everyone's already had their takes on it, so if you wanted to see my take a little bit later than everyone else, cool. I don't know why you do, but here we are. This is what the video is going to be. This is more putting my own thoughts out there and feelings, and then trying to make some predictions on what I understand of the meta, to then see what champions and decks from here on out are actually viable. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. Patch 4.4. Oh, welcome to patch 4.4 for a standard focus balance patch. Targeting some of the strongest meta decks and giving a little love to some decks and archetypes that are coming in just a little under. Okay, card updates. Cygnus the Moonstalker. This is a really bad card. It was a 6-cost, 5/3, dies to remove it pretty easily on 6 mana. When you're playing on 6 mana, you're running into things like Lord Broadmane or like a rally strategy if you're playing against a Demacia deck. And also turn 6 is the turn that you have things like BB activated if you're playing against Seraphine Jack, because BB will be put down on 5 sometimes. In a lot of cases, actually, I found people will be throwing that card out there. And then this on turn 6 was just awful, because then they have full mana and it would be a good card anyway. But here we are. Now, a 5-cost 3/3 elusive, Nightfall give an ally elusive this round. So, this is kind of strange, right? Because its stats get nerfed from 5 to 3, and it is just a base elusive. So now you don't actually have to give me an ally elusive this round, just permanently has elusive, which is a really good buff. And understandably, they lowered the stats on this. Then the Nightfall give an ally elusive this round. So, pretty decent for some aggressive Nightfall decks. I think there was a video that I saw recently on Snooey's channel a few days ago that was Nocturne Diana Nightfall. And this might be another really good card for it. You play Nocturne, and then you play Cygnus afterwards, and you just have a really threatening board with elusive on top of everything else that Nightfall likes to do. So, it's a good change. You know, it's a good change for the card. I don't know if this fits into any other strategy, really, but it might be a good consideration for those kind of off-meta picks. Cloven Way goes from a 5-cost to a 4-cost, with a 5/4 stat line to a 4/3 stat line. The effect is unchanged, where Nightfall stun an enemy if its follower stun it again. So it has the effect of that Crescendum weapon that Aphelios has, but Aphelios isn't in standard, and so you don't have the weapon available anymore. But having this on 4 in Targon might not be terrible for Leona decks, because you play your Daybreak cards, then you play this afterwards, and then you get another stun on top of Leona stun, on top of the Solari Sunhawk stun. This, I could see, be like a decent combo card, though it still might be a bit too expensive for the region, and also its stats don't change. Like 4 attack on 4 with Overwhelm does not feel all that powerful. You could argue for a Pantheon list, maybe? I'm not sure where this fits, but it's a good change. Like, the card is definitely better. I'm just trying to think of, like, decks that this fits into right now, and I can't really think of anything. Okay, Moondreamer, change. Play, invoke, Nightfall, reduce that card's cost by 1. I like this. This is really good for invoke strategies. Anything that wants to play Aurelion Soul. I saw Aurelion Soul Thresh the other day, funny enough. This could fit into that deck really well now, because it's a decent tanky unit that you can play with that invokes a card, and then if it's a Nightfall effect, after you use maybe a Guiding Touch or a Pale Cascade, or not a Pale Cascade, but like a Behold the Infinite or something, I don't know. You get to play this card afterwards, and then reducing that card's cost by 1 feels really good. You can get some pretty decent invokes and then have them even cheaper. Like, imagine hitting, oh, I don't know, Supernova, but instead of being a 9 cost, it's now an 8 cost. You have to play around an 8 cost Obliterate card, which is kind of insane and pretty cool. Pretty cool little change. Targonian Tellstones. This is the one that I was terrified of. Create a Wish, Paddlestar, or Blessing of Targon in hand. 2, create a Behold the Infinite, Hush, or Blessing of Targon in hand. Now, if I remember correctly, Blessing of Targon is a give an ally +3, or grant an ally +3/+3. It is Tarek's champion spell. Now we have Zoe's champion spell, and Hush in here. Behold the no, Zoe's champion spell was Paddlestar. What am I saying? I think when Zoe's leveled up and she strikes the Nexus, she creates Behold the Infinite. This is ridiculously good now. So you can create... So this is basically create a possible win condition or create a silence, which is super good, especially because of these Varus decks that we're seeing going around now. You can remove the Overwhelm off of Varus. I don't believe it's on his weapon. It's on Varus himself. So you remove Varus's Overwhelm and chump block with a Hush with 4 mana for Targonian Tellstones. So you can hypothetically run 6 copies of Hush, or you run 3 of these in place of Hush because of its flexibility. So this is really good. This is really good for Targon decks. Targon is eating good right now. Alright, Azir. Level up, you've summoned 13 plus allies or landmarks to 12 plus allies or landmarks. They are... Why are they buffing this? I don't like this buff. So, Blade Dance, this used to be 10, and then it was nerfed to 12, and then up to 13. Or it was nerfed to 13, and then, like, let's actually knock it back down to 12 a little bit. This card already leveled really fast in Blade Dance, although Blade Dance isn't a meta deck right now. And it also leveled really fast in Sundisk, although Sundisk isn't a meta deck right now. And it's kind of good that both of these strategies weren't meta, because Blade Dance, as I'm sure a lot of you know, has a problem with interactivity, and so does Sundisk. And so giving Azir this buff just... It feels toxic, man. Like, letting him level 1 unit or landmark faster, especially in a Sundisk meta where you're running the Rockbear Shepherd. This is scary. Lowering the requirement is a little scary. We'll have to see how that goes. Nasus goes from a 2/2 to a 3/3. That feels really good. Nasus not being able to block Fearsomes on drop felt pretty bad. And the fact that Atrocity is no longer in Standard means that you can't level him up faster and throw him at Nexus like you used to be able to. But I think that with the removal of his big finisher tools like Atrocity and all of that, he does need the stat buff. And yeah, this is like a good change, I think, for Nasus. It'll be interesting to see if he's also back in the meta again at some point. Could be. There might be some I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, Nasus level 2 getting +1/+1. That makes sense. Glory's Call. Nobody ran this card, and I don't think you're running it at 5 cost. I'll be quite real with you. Although, I cost you less for each different Ascended ally you've played this game. So, if on turn 4 you have this in hand, you could play this on curve now. Which is pretty good. You play Azir on turn 3. This becomes the 3-cost card, and then you just use your spell mana to play this. Or, no, you don't even have to use all of your mana the next turn to play this card. That does feel pretty good with Sundisk now. Especially because Zareth doesn't exist. So, it is a change. It is a change. We'll see if this fixes anything for the Sundisk strategies, but I don't know. I haven't seen Sundisk all that much lately. Soul Harvest. Okay. Kill a follower with 3 or less power, or spend 4 mana. Oh, change to or spend 3 mana to kill a champion with 3 or less power. So, this becomes just Culling Strike for champions now. Anything with 3 or less power. That's really good in Shadow Isles. Having that removal spell available for them to remove champions after they got Quiet is taken. This seems fair. This seems like a really scary card now. Being able to play this again on curve with your spell mana to kill a champion. You run into Alawi, although I'm probably the only person on Earth that plays Alawi, aside from like J4 Alawi decks. You play this into Nora, Heimer. Could even throw it in, I don't know, do some Ash Shadow Isles deck. That'd be kind of crazy, but it hasn't been done for a while. Okay, strong card. Cadrigrin the Infernal. Grant other Dragon allies everywhere +4/+4 instead of +2/+2. I don't think that the effect of the card was what was holding this card back. I think that what was holding this card back was its cost. Because at 9 mana in Demacia, you're looking to end the game with a champion strike already. And this being in a Dragons deck, I don't know, like maybe you run this as a one-of now, just because the late game finish potential of it is really high. But you'd rather have other units on board. You'd rather go wide with things like the Screeching Dragon, or have Shyvana and mana to protect her available. I think like Pantheon Shyvana might like this as a top end card. I don't think anyone's run that deck in a while, but point is, Cadrigrin has been acknowledged. That's cool. That's about all I can say, though. Priestess of Desert Light. Round start, deal 4 to me, draw champion, and grant it +2/+2. So this is still just a bad card that won't see any strategies. That only goes into... Well, I mean, you don't even run this above... What's the card? Ambassador? Like, ideally, you'd want this in a deck where you want to draw your champions consistently and have, like, a really heavy reliance on your champions, and so you play this in, Mono Shurima, I guess, with Sundisk. But then when you play this on turn 6, it's only if you can't find a champion, and it's assuming that you can't find Golden Ambassador anyway, which will hit Allegiance and draw the champion. Now, this is... I don't think this is... Oh, no. And yeah, and then the effect of if your deck started with 6+ different champions, summon it instead. I don't think this is any good. And I don't think that the stat change... I mean, the stat change is nice, like, definitely is a buff. But again, it's not going to be making this card meta, and I think it'll still be meme tier. Mirror Image. Summon an exact ephemeral copy of an ally with 5+ power to... Oh, summon an exact ephemeral copy of an ally. Oh, just straight up summon an exact ephemeral copy of an ally. Oh. Well, that... That has some interesting ramifications. my mind immediately goes to, like, those really memey, what was the name? Legion Deserter? The guy that gets everywhere buffs. So you do Mirror Image on a Camivore Soldier, and you also bring Soul Cleave, and then just summon a ton of those, and then you have these massive Legion Deserter at the end of it. That'd be kind of funny, although maybe the card's not in Standard, I don't remember. I haven't seen that card in a while, though it is kind of a meme card. But Mirror Image, this is a good change for the card. This makes LeBlanc kind of scary to work with. Especially if you can, well, Ash LeBlanc, actually. Because you just summon a copy of Ash, and you open attack with 2 copies of Ash. This is granted that you can level up LeBlanc anyway. That is what it is contingent on, but then you summon 2 copies of an unleveled Ash and attack, and then you have 2 Frostbites for Ash on board. That is scary. That is a scary change. I'm a big fan of that. Bandle Gunners, now a 10 cost 5/5 with Spell Shield. I cost one less for each multi-region ally. When I'm summoned, grant me impact 3 times. Wow. So, Tristana multi-region strategies, or Nora multi-region strategies, are suddenly working again. Because this becomes cheap really quickly in those multi-region decks. And when I'm summoned, grant me impact 3 times without, you don't even have to have this requirement. I mean, if you'll hit this requirement anyway if you want to get it cheaper. But let's say that you are in the late game, you've played 5, multi-region units. This becomes a 5 mana 5/5 with impact 3, which is a scary unit in and of itself, and it has Spell Shield. So that gives you a lot of options in terms of, here's something crazy you could do. You throw Rainbow Fish on this, and now you have a 7/6 with Spell Shield and Elusive and Impact. 3x Impact. That's a little crazy to think about. Now, that is a meme strategy for sure. I don't think that's viable at all. But it is like something that this card can do that it wasn't able to before, sitting at a flat 8 cost. Now that this discounts, you can probably run 1 or 2 of these as an alternate late game win condition in some like multi-region bandle list. Advanced Intel. Change 1 cost to 2 cost, but it also now draws 1. Wow. Piltover and Zon getting the best cards in the game. Once again, this is ridiculously good. Now, the funny thing about changing it from 1 cost to 2 cost is that this can't be hit off of, if you're playing, let's say you're playing Burblefish with Nami in Piltover and Zon, which I'm sure not a lot of people do, and at least not nowadays with Victor being gone. But you would hit this card sometimes and it'd be like, I guess it's like kind of a card I can use to buff, but it doesn't do a whole lot. But now, plant 2 flash bombs and draw 1. This might be a good card for Caitlyn Teemo, maybe. That's like one deck I can think of that is going to love playing this card more regularly. I don't know. That's interesting. That is an interesting change. I think it's a good card. Like, you could probably just unironically run this in as a one of in Seraphine decks, or you draw 2, plant 4 flash bomb traps with leveled Seraphine. Good lord, that's scary. And also, this gets hit off of Sputtering Song Spinner now, so now you have a 0 cost plant 2, draw 1 with Sputtering. Technically 7, but like, come on. The value. That's pretty good. That's a really good, it's a very strong card now. Deathless Knight going from 6 cost to 5 cost does not change a whole lot. I think the thing that this changes, though, is that it doesn't contend Hecarim anymore on drop. Again, I don't know if Hecarim was rotated or not. I gotta double check that. But Hecarim's 6 cost. With this also being 6 cost, would you rather drop Hecarim or this card? You would rather drop this card. Deathless Knight you could also run with Oblivious Islander and keep buffing it, but I don't know. It never was a great card, and I think changing the cost of it makes it better. It's a 5 mana 5/5 with Fearsome that you could maybe run in some Nocturne or Callista strategy, but it's like, I don't know. If you the card ideas that I'm coming up with are all really memey. I'm thinking Encroaching Shadows, grant +2/+2 and Ephemeral, and then this drops as a 5 mana 8/8, which would be really funny. But viable? Absolutely not. There's like way too much interaction for this kind of effect at mana 5 to really be doing anything. But it's a buff. Not gonna change a whole lot, I don't think. Retired Reckoner, 5 mana 2/6 previously, now a 3/6. This card is, when you target me, grant me +1/+0. I think this card has been kind of slept on before because it was a 2/6. Being a 3/6 now makes it really beefy. And remember, this is a Noxus card. This is meant to be played with Riven. And if not with Riven, then you can play this with Equipment decks. I'm thinking right now there is Samira Varus. You could maybe even run one copy of this card in Samira Varus, target it a whole ton, give even more overwhelm with all of the darkened weapons that you can throw onto this, and weapon based strategies, and just crush people with even more overwhelm stats. I think this is an interesting card. This is an interesting change that might actually be a lot scarier than people realize. I'm gonna probably try to build a deck with Retired Reckoner, or see if I can slot it into meta decks right now. I like combo pieces like this, so we'll see. Nerfs. Ashe. You've reduced the power of 4+ enemies to 5+ enemies, so we're just reverting her, I guess. It slows it down a little bit, makes it less frustrating to play against if you're playing mid-range strategies. No real comment that I have here. Just makes Ashe a little bit less potent. And because of the change of you've reduced the power of 5+ enemies to 0, which is frostbites, but it can also include things along the lines of, I don't know, scrying sands, which you don't play with Ashe, but you know, debuff cards in that regard that take your power down. Yeah, this is a change. This is a good change. Like, it helps. Oh wait, I'm using. Oh, I can meme it. Okay, hold on. Ashe is fucking dead. Anyway, sorry. With the buffs given over time, Ashe is thriving in the lower powered standard format, bumping up requests by one should put her in a healthier long-term state. I agree. Having games finish by turn 5 or 6 with an Ashe on board was really disheartening, especially because people found out that Brittle Steel is still in the game, and Flash Freeze is really good, and Three Sisters is a great answer to a lot of things, and Iceveil Archer is a great card for Ashe specifically. So having it be 4+ was very easy to level her by turn 4 or 5. And knocking it up by 1 does mean that there's like a slight bit more mana commitment that needs to go into that before Ashe can swing for a kill. Reckoning going from a 6 cost to a 7 cost it's funny. It does make it slower, like you have to play around a larger mana thing. But I don't know how I feel about this change. I guess you can't really play it on curve on turn 3 anymore. That is something. You have to play it, or at least you can play it as turn 4. So you can't really board wipe aggro decks anymore. So this is actually a great aggro deck buff if you're playing against Ashe LeBlanc. Because Ashe LeBlanc finding this card made aggro really tough to play. But now that they have to wait until turn 4 to play this, and they'll have to commit all of their mana for it, that feels way better to play into for aggro swarm strategies. So my assumption is that we're going to see a lot of broad main decks come around, but maybe that's just my own bias. Who knows? Okay, All Out. Give it +2/+1 instead. Yeah, +2/+2 on a 1-mana burst spell. Are you insane? This is a ridiculously good stat line because you are hitting Plunder so frequently. This is like basically a 2-mana +4 of stats, which is insanity. This kept so much safe, so many units safe. I think giving +2/+1 is exactly the right call here. So happy about this change. This feels worse to play in Samira lists overall and Fizz lists. I guess if you're playing Fizz, this is still like a good card. If you're playing Noxus in general, this is still a good card. If you're playing Varus, Samira, this is still a good card. It's just like, it's not a no-brainer kind of use. It's like, well, only 1 HP difference this time. Wiggly Burblefish going from 6 cost to 8 cost. Wow. Yeah, deserved, honestly. Wiggly Burblefish has been a really good card for Nami lists, and now they've also noticed it's really good for Samira. And it draws us a 0 cost on turn 5, turn 4 quite often because of that card synergy. And so nerfing it by 2 mana is, oh, that's tough. That is a tough nerf. This makes this card so much slower and gives any sort of these Bilgewater elusive lists a lot less, or a lot more time that they need to commit to actually do all this extra damage. Inferno going from a 1-5 to a 1-4, 5 HP in general is really tough to punch through. I don't know if you guys remember, well, 6 HP is even worse, but I don't even know if you guys remember when Trundle got nerfed a while ago. He was a 4-6, got nerfed to a 4-5, and then went back up to a 4-6 again. Because they realized, like, oh yeah, he kind of needs that health, doesn't he? With the way that the meta shifted around. But go from a 1-5 to a 1-4 makes this a little bit more susceptible to removal. I mean, 4 HP is still a lot, but 1 attack is like where this card is a little bit weak. And then the activate Plunder drop and give it fleeting is still a very, very good attack, or a very good effect. So 4 mana, the only thing that really removes that would be Rite of the Arcane, which I believe got rotated with Zareth. So you have to double commit something. You still have to 2-for-1 this card unless you're also playing elusives with a lot of stats, which, you know, you're running Cygnus now, I guess. Nah, I highly doubt it. Usually this card still takes 2-for-1s from your opponent at 4 HP. So, still a good card, just a little bit less powerful now. And, yeah. Leona. Level up, you've activated Daybreak 5+ times. Yeah, you can't curve into Leona. You can't play 4 Daybreak cards into activate Leona on turn 5. I mean, you can still do it. You play 4 and then you play this, and then she still activates off of it. But it's not... You have to play an exactly perfect curve of units. You play Solari Soldier into Shield Bearer, into Sun Guardian, into maybe Sunhawk or something else, and then play Leona. Maybe Solari Sunforger, but I don't think that Leona decks right now run that defensive of a card, especially that terrible of one. But you get my point. You have to have a really good hand now for Leona to activate on turn 5. So that does slow her down just a little bit. That's nice. That's a nice change. Sun Guardian from a 2-3 to a 2-2. Really a big fan of this. It was never a 2-3. It always came down as a 3-4. And a 3-4 on 3 is nigh impossible to remove with units. And just like Inferno earlier, 4 HP is still very tough to chew through unless you're playing something with Broadmane. But then Broadmane comes out on turn 6, not on turn 4 or 3, and you have to wait for that to correlate. Basically, I was going for like a 2-for-1 for this. So since this comes down on 3 as a 3-3, this trades so much lower into a lot of the 3-mana pool overall. So pretty happy with that. Pretty happy with this change as well. This does knock Leona down quite a bit. Both of these changes do. And Samira on her side losing all out. So Samira Leona might not be the best deck in the format right now. We'll see. Karma. I remember seeing this change. Karma 4-4 to a 4-3. This does nothing. This does not change a lot for Karma, because Karma was never in danger of single target removal, because you have so many answers. You have Tag Out, you have Deny, you have maybe even Syncopation, you have I don't know, a whole lot of things. This does die to Sump Fumes, I guess, as the one card, because Get Excited got rotated. But aside from that, Karma's problem was that she was still, even if you were throwing spells at her that would kill her immediately, let's say you're throwing a Vengeance at Karma, Karma still gets to get recalled and avoid that, or deny that, and that's a ton of mana on your part in exchange for basically nothing on their end, because they play 2 mana to recall Karma, 5 mana to replay Karma, use coins to refill their hand, refill their mana again. Additionally, Karma was never coming down as a 4-4 to begin with. She was always coming down as a 5-5. You never, and I mean basically unless there was like some emergency scenario, you never saw Karma before turn 10. And by the time it's turn 10 for Karma set, the game is over. There's nothing that Karma's going to be doing uh, on turn 10 that her health affects a whole lot. Like, I don't think that this change in HP really nerfs her a whole lot because she's still not susceptible to removal. So, it's like a nice little acknowledgement that Karma's really strong, but I don't think that I don't think that this changes a whole lot. Caustic Riff. Change from 3 cost to a 4 cost with Flow I cost 2 less. That is... wow. That is a nerf. That is a good nerf. I like it that it still goes back down to 2 with Flow, though. So really encouraging you to play spells, really encouraging you to play skills, still to get the effect and get rewarded for it. But you're not just having a free gimme at 3 cost now, you have to play it at 4, which means you have to sacrifice a little bit of unit mana and can't play this on curve quite as reliably. So, decent nerf all around. I like this change. I've been playing broad main lists, so I like this card a lot. Yeah, it makes sense. It was a very overused card, and I'm happy to see it knocked out a bit. Drum Solo. Draw 2, flow, reduce those cards' costs by 1. Oh, thank the Lord. I mean, again, another really good Piltover and Zon card that I've been abusing. But this basically being a 1 mana draw 2, because you reduce 2 cards' cost by 2, so it pays for itself in 4 mana. So basically 1 mana draw 2. At burst speed, was ridiculously good. Now for this to be a 3 mana draw 2 is still good after flow has been activated, but it's not nearly as potent, and especially when you're playing against Seraphine, you can't reduce cards cost 0, you'll have to reduce them to 1. Not like Seraphine bar lists care about that too much, but it does reduce some of their power, so I'm happy with this change. I think it's a good change. Okay, Opulent Foyer. I hate this card. Oh, this card is, I've seen it in my nightmares. When I'm summoner, you gain the attack token versus when I'm summoned. Round start, if you have the token. It is a round start effect now. Oh my gosh. Whoa. That's tough. I mean, I'm really happy about that, to be quite honest with you. Because now this isn't quite nearly as good. This is not a win condition in Gwen Quinn. I recorded a video that I'll be working on after I record this in a commentary, where I was facing Gwen Quinn, and I'm like, oh, okay, my opponent didn't win because they didn't find Foyer. Bit of a spoiler, I guess. But in this scenario specifically now that it's a round start effect, they don't have those free attacks that just get buffed to oblivion. Oh, I'm so happy for this change. I still think it's a good card for Gwen, but it's still, it has reduced its power significantly. You can't just spam open attacks anymore. I think this should have been nerfed. This card should have been nerfed back when Katarina was still in the game. Because Katarina was one of the cards that was nerfing it, or that was overusing it quite a bit. So I'm surprised that it took this long to do things with it, but I'm happy that this change still comes through anyway. Ambitious Cultist. But wait. Once you equip an ally's game, create a new spell that costs 2 in hand and set its cost to 0 this round. Oh, wow. So you can't just hold on to it forever and have like a 0 cost card that you have to be playing around. You have to play it that round. It's like Sputtering Song Spinner. No, I'm a fan of that. You have to use it now. You still get a really good card off of it. And if you don't use it, then it goes up to 2. You still have a 2 mana card, but that just slows you down a little bit and makes it that much less potent. So I'm a fan of that change, I guess. It's a good one. It'll tap the power of Varus lists, I'm sure. And excited to see how else it works things out. Momentous Choice, change from 1 cost to a 2 cost. Good lord. Oh, man. So it's just worse twin disciplines now, huh? The thing about momentous choice, though, the reason why it also is really good is because of the cast to play changes. Having it duplicate itself counted for 2 procs of Varus. It counted for 2 procs of Samira, I believe. It counted for multiple targets on whatever kind of targeting thing you could imagine in the game. And so now for this to be a 2-cost target something twice and give it +2/+0 or O+2 makes it pretty, like, significantly a lot. Makes it significantly weaker than it was before. But I think this is a good change. It'll be tough to use in lists that aren't specifically cultist lists now. Cultist lists still like this card, but they are not loving it. You're also not playing around a 1-cost card anymore. You have to play around 2 costs. Makes playing on curve a lot more difficult. Yeah, it's a good nerf. I'm a big fan of that. Okay, miscellaneous. Prank. -2/-0 removed from pool and -2/-0 vulnerable. 2 cost increase for spells, 1 cost increase for spells. So they buffed Prank? 1 cost increase for non-spells. I'm confused at what this says. So they remove this, but then they just straight up say, okay, now it's -2/-0 invulnerable. And then it's a 2 cost increase for spells and a 1 cost increase for non-spells. That's strange for sure. I don't know how I feel about that. Okay, well, we hit a few road bumps with our first Runeterra Open. We can read all about it, how the team is working to address the community concerns in this article. Congrats to our 3 winners of the first Runeterra Open. You're qualified for a mystery event. Whoa, Card Gamer. Wow, really? Card Gamer. Right on, dude. I don't know these players, unfortunately. I know Card Gamer, though. Key and Tabuta. Nice. Following features will be released for competitive. Your daily rumble in Runeterra Opens determines will now be determined based on other players with a similar number of wins as you. Oh, that's great. That's fantastic. That was a problem that we were running into Runeterra Opens, was that we would run into people who were just starting or were on like some terrible loss streak, and so you just kind of ran over them at the end of it, and it felt kind of unearned because you'd be 4-0 and then you face someone who was 0-3, and that would just kind of suck. Add Eternal Best of 3 to the Friend Challenge game modes list. Oh, that's so good. Yo, someone has to get We the Peoples on this. For those of you who don't know who We the Peoples is the runner of the Mystic Shot podcast tournaments that I used to cast. They have been on hiatus for the last month. Every single Tuesday night was when he did them. And he wanted to do Eternal tournaments, but it didn't end up working out because Standard Best of 3 was the only thing available in Friend Challenge. And so, following a new job, I believe he got as well, he decided to put a pause on Mystic Shot tournaments until further notice. And we're still on that further notice, but maybe this is something that can bring him back. Otherwise, for tournaments, in case you guys are curious about what other competitive stuff I do, I cast for the Lancers Runeterra tournament, which is a weekly format every single Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time with IADC Elite, also run by Porter and Orange Flame. Fantastic people running that event every week. I'm really happy to be included in their group. They said, hey, we got to start the tournament. They say, who do we want for casting? Oh, I know exactly who we want. We want Kai, and so I was invited, and that's what I do every Thursday night. And then, of course, on Sundays, I think it's once every 2 weeks, there is the Noximus tournaments, of which I am technically a team member of, but I haven't made an official announcement yet. So, technically a team member of that, technically not. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, Ruthless Rumbles. Unlimited entry. The 2 Ruthless Rumbles this month will feature unlimited entries, but it's also paid entry. So, it's I believe it's 500 coins for entry or 1 expedition token if you still have expedition tokens. Weird. I don't know. That is interesting. You can keep paying to try and get more trophies overall. That seems a little dicey. But maybe people will be like, you know what? I enter once and I don't want to get clobbered again. Okay, the next Runeterra Open is set for May 13th and 14th. Ooh, right after exams. Awesome. And it will be a World Qualifier Open. The first prize is direct invite to Worlds, as well as a larger cash prize in the regular Runeterra Opens. Ooh. Hey, maybe I can try for that. I don't know if I have enough glory for this. We'll have to see. Below a sneak peek on the icons you earn on ranked ladder. Cool. I'm in platinum right now, but I'm close to diamond, so I'll definitely be getting this one at least. But master is what I'm aiming for. These are nice. I like these quite a bit. They look shiny. The diamond one looks best, in my opinion. Master looks good. The diamond one just looks so clean, dude. Eternal ladder ranked icons. Oh. Eternal season will start with the next patch, and Glory and Navori will end June 28th. So 2 months to end this season. Plenty of time. Path of Champions, I don't really care. Miscellaneous. Not having standard decks available to starters wasn't ideal for new players. We'll be releasing 7 standard decks in our next patch. Oh, that's nice. And they will be free for users for a limited time. We look forward to sharing them with you. Oh, that'll be great for new players. I gotta let my friends know about that. Because you'll join the game and you'll want to go play standard, and then all of your decks are like, sorry, not viable. So I'm a very big fan of that change. LOR turns 3. Yep, I have been claiming the rewards for it. I love this emote. Oh my gosh, it's so good. It's just let her cook. Is what it is. Don't miss out the community card kitchen. Yeah, vote Freljord, by the way, for this poll that's going on. That is all I have to say. Some bug fixes. Let's see. Fix an issue. Portal fluff. Highlight and Path of Champions. Showed Freljord region only at 99% even when all cards were purchased. I'm very happy about that. I remember seeing that. I have all the cards, and it was like, yeah, 98%. I don't know. That's weird. Tranquility Dragon Carmel was missing VO. That's good that they fixed that. You pay for the skin and then miss the VO. Where Darknet Follower is not reduced by Go Get It. Who is figuring these things out? That's really funny. KTMS could not be cast correctly when cost reduced. Okay. Wow, a lot of bug fixes. Would not trigger Spell Shield. Wow. Huh. Well, that's my thoughts on the patch 4.4. Hope you guys enjoyed me rambling a little bit about it. Decks that I think, by the way, are going to be really good in the next patch. Samira of Eris is still going to be very good. Got tapped, maybe? Leona is not quite as strong. Deep is going to be really strong still. Deep is a very good overall ladder and especially tournament deck. I've seen it in basically every tournament that I've casted. As far as your control options go, well, Jarvan Allow is still good. That hasn't been messed with. Aside from Soul Harvest being a stronger card now. And yeah, those are the 3 that I can think of right now, just off the top of my head, of really good decks. But Samira Varus, still very strong. Still going to continue to be strong until the end of this patch, until 4.5. So bring your countermeasures, and good luck out there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you whenever. Goodbye.